In this video, we are talking about the plethora of FAQs surrounding a VA loan assumption, so be sure to stay tuned all the way till the end. What's up, everybody? It's Cassandra Lopez with the Living in Bremerton channel. If you're new to the channel, you're going to want to go ahead and subscribe. This channel is all about living in Bremerton. So whether you are new here for the first time or maybe you've been here for a while and just want to know more, then tap that little bell so you're notified every time I drop a new video. And you can reach out to me directly. This is my cell phone and my email. Be sure to reach out if there's anything I can do to support your relocation to Bremerton, Washington. All right, VA loan assumptions. So I decided to do this little series on VA loan assumptions because we just have so many VA buyers around, ergo we have so many VA sellers. So, it might be a good match. So anyway, this video is all the FAQs that come up pretty frequently, the F in FAQ, about VA loan assumptions. So we're just gonna jump right in. Question number one, who can assume a VA loan? So even if you are eligible for VA benefits, you're a veteran or active duty, you still have to qualify for the mortgage. So you still have to have your credit and you put in the application and they run all your assets and income and verify your employment and all that stuff. So you still have to be a qualified borrower with a minimum credit score and all of that stuff to be able to assume a VA loan, just like you would for a regular VA purchase. Question two. What if you are eligible for a VA loan but you don't qualify? Are you allowed to have a co-borrower? The answer is yes, you may have a co-borrower on that assumption with you. However, that co-borrower also has to qualify and meet all of the criteria for a VA loan assumption, and that's going to vary lender by lender. So just keep that in mind that not all borrowers are going to qualify for this product in this program. Question three. How long does the process take? So typically they say 30 days from receiving a completed VA loan assumption package. So the 30 days is a standard closing for any purchase, right? But depending on how long it takes the buyer to get the loan servicer, the VA assumption package is really where all of the time takes, because if there's one signature missing or one line item missing, it gets kicked back and you gotta find out where you missed and resubmit and all the things. And so that's what takes the longest. I would budget 60 to 90 days for closing on a VA loan assumption. What are the total costs involved with a VA loan assumption? Well, this is different if you are the buyer or the seller. So say you're the buyer, 0.5% funding fee. That's right, I said half, 0.5, not 2.2 on a purchase. It's only half a point. A $300 loan assumption fee. So this could be negotiable between the buyer and seller. Title fees on the buyer's side, minimal closing costs because you're going to already have that loan in place. A big chunk of regular purchase closing costs comes from like loan origination fees and like points and that sort of thing that you won't be paying during an assumption. You're going to have maybe some prepaid insurance and taxes depending on if it's current on the seller side, if the seller has paid for taxes through the year or through that pay period. As a seller in the VA loan assumption transaction, you're gonna have just like your normal seller closing costs. So you're gonna have excise tax, broker fees, title and escrow fees, and that sort of thing. So your fees don't change all that much. Question number 5, who is responsible for making the loan payments during a loan assumption transaction? So that's always going to fall squarely on the seller's shoulders because the seller's the one who owns the home until he doesn't, right? So even if you're in a contract for 60 to 90 days, the loan still belongs to the seller, the home still belongs to the seller, it's the seller's responsibility. It's really important to note that the loan needs to be 100% current 100% of the time to even be eligible for an assumption. So it would behoove the seller to just keep on making those payments until it closes and the buyer completely assumes and takes over those payments. Question 6, will the interest rate and or term change? And by term, we mean length of the loan. Months left on payments. Will that change during a VA loan assumption? The answer is no. So the buyer gets to inherit the interest rate, which is a pretty cool thing right now because say the VA borrower got an interest rate of like 3%. Well, right now they're like 6.25, 6.5. So yeah, that's way favorable, right? So they get to inherit that 3%. And they also get to just take over payments for the rest of the life of the loan. So they're not making a brand new loan with 30 years left. Say that homeowner has owned that house for 7 years and there's 23 years left. The buyer just pays on the next 23 and calls it good. All right, question number 7. This involves impounds. So oftentimes in mortgages, and the VA loan is no exception to this, and that is taxes and insurance. So oftentimes that's wrapped up into the mortgage payment and it's held in an escrow account or an impound account. And so what happens to that money that goes to pay the taxes and insurance during the loan assumption? And the answer is it stays in place. If there is an overage, the balance, the overage credit will be sent back to the seller at closing. If there is a shortage and that account needs to be funded in order to completely cover the taxes and insurance for future payments, then one of the two parties will have to come to the table and satisfy that deficit, and that could be either party up for negotiations. Well, this one's an interesting twist. So this question is, what if it's not a sale? What if the parties to the VA loan are getting a divorce? Then what happens? Do we still need a loan assumption? The answer is yes, because you're removing one party from the loan. So the remaining party needs to be able to qualify for those payments and for that debt on their own. And so they have to go through the VA loan assumption process in order to do that. The good news is that there's no credit pulls. You're just taking over the interest rate and terms just like you would as a buyer, even though you're already the owner, and because you're just removing one party from the loan. So those were some super common FAQs that we get with VA loan assumptions. So if there's something that I didn't touch on that you have a question on, please put it in the comments or reach out to me directly. This is my cell phone and my email. I'll be sure to get you the best answer I can. If you like that video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, tap that little bell so you're notified every time I drop a new video. We'll see you on the channel.